Konbanwa. Good evening and welcome to the first Hot Springs National Park Sister City Program Student Symposium. My name is Mary Nielsen and I am very privileged to be the Sister City Program Coordinator. I'd like to thank Larry Wilson for videotaping, and then I would also like to thank Superintendent Joyce Kraft and the Hot Springs School District for letting us use this lovely facility this evening to hold the symposium. We have a 10-member student delegation who's very excited to be here tonight from 4 different school districts, and they are ready to tell you about their travel to our sister city, Hanamaki, Japan. Educational exchange has always been a cornerstone of the Hot Springs National Park Sister City Foundation program, and that continues today. 2 years ago there were 2 students who went. Last year there were 10, and we want to continue that progress in the future as well. They travel to Hanamaki, they stayed with host families, and each year we always look forward to students traveling from Hanamaki to come visit our Hot Springs School District schools. I was very privileged to be able to travel with the citizen delegation who was in Hanamaki the same time as the students were. And it was great fun to watch them discover the culture, all of the excitement and new discoveries that they experienced while they were there. And today, they will be sharing with you their experiences, their impressions, how it affected them, how it affected the way they see the world, and how it may have affected their future plans as well. I want to share with you something that I experienced while I was there. There's a very famous poet, astronomer, astrologer from Hanamaki. He wrote many children's stories and poems, and children all across Japan learn his poems, memorize them when they're in elementary school. And the one poem he wrote, called Strong in the Rain, does a beautiful job of explaining the Japanese culture, I think, especially in light of all of the devastation that they've experienced over the last few weeks, and the beauty and grace with which they've handled all of it. The name of the poem, again, is called Strong in the Rain, and the writer's name is Kenji Miyazawa. Strong in the rain, strong in the wind, strong against the summer heat and snow, he is healthy and robust, unselfish. He never loses his temper, nor the quiet smile on his lips. He eats 4 go of unpolished rice, miso, and a few vegetables a day. He does not consider himself. In whatever occurs, his understanding comes from observation and experience, and he never loses sight of things. He lives in a little thatched roof hut in a field in the shadows of the pine grove. If there is a sick child in the east, he goes there to nurse the child. If there's a tired mother in the west, he goes to her and carries her sheaves. If someone is near death in the south, he goes and says, "Don't be afraid." If there's strife and lawsuits in the north, he demands that the people put an end to their pettiness. He weeps at the time of drought. He plods about at the loss during the cold summer. Everyone calls him blockhead. No one sings his praises or takes him to heart. This is the sort of person I want to be. And I will now turn the program over to the students who will share some of their experiences and impressions with you.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jill Tyler, and tonight I hope to be able to share with you my trip of a lifetime. So I had a few reasons when I decided to apply why I wanted to go. Obviously, I have a love of travel, and I saw the many cultural and educational benefits of going on a trip to Japan. The food and media and history and way of life that Japan has, I saw so many opportunities to learn and grow from this experience. So So I had a few expectations, obviously, of how the trip was going to go and what I was going to get out of it. I hoped to have a new group of friends from both my delegation and from the many people that I would meet in Japan. And I was expecting to have a very different 16th birthday because the Friday that we were in Japan was when I would turn 16, so I was a little nervous about that. And I expected to be in a very structured environment and a very structured society as well. And also, I was kind of nervous about my host family, and I was wondering if they would be reserved or how we would be able to interact. And here's what I got. I got the best host family in the world. I'm so happy. My family was Mama Kiyomi, Papa, Asami, and Mizuki. Asami was pretty close to my age, actually. Her birthday was also in September. And Mizuki was actually really close in age to my little sister, so it was kind of like having a piece of home because of that. They taught me many things like calligraphy and origami, and we spent many a meal together. And it's kind of odd because of the language barrier, but we were able to talk about things that you wouldn't normally expect. We talked about holidays and birthdays and weddings and just really special family things from my experiences and from their experiences. I also got a land that was rich in tradition, but definitely not short on fun and kind of structured like I was hoping, or not hoping, but expecting it to be. We learned, whether I was learning a Japanese martial art or walking in the Hanamaki festival or seeing how many bowls of wheat noodles I could eat. It was 22, by the way. I'm pretty sure it was 22. I did pretty good. Or painting or making origami or taking a boat down the river. I was always constantly having a great time on this trip. And as you can see, my many pictures, there's me flipping one of the great, I think, was it kendo or what? Yeah, I think it was kendo. And I flipped him, which was awesome. And I got to steer the riverboat, and we got to be in the Hanamaki Festival, which was amazing. And seeing the little kids too, they taught me so much, so I wanted to include those photos. I also got the best Sweet 16 that any girl could have asked for. A surprise party plus gifts plus a delicious cake had to equal. So here's some lasting effects of my trip. I definitely have a better understanding of Japanese life and Japanese culture from this. It was truly an eye-opener for me. And I have an even more increased love of travel. I hope to do even more international travel as my life continues, and this trip only helped to encourage that love. I had long-lasting bonds with my host family and student delegation. An example of my host family since the tragic tsunami that's hit Japan. I've been writing letters to them, and I've been getting letters, and that's really helped to strengthen our bond, and I'm so glad to know that they're safe and they're okay, and it just made me realize how much I truly care about them and how much I know that they care about me. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Taylor Hornsby, and I'm a senior at Lake Hamilton High School. When I first signed up for the trip to Japan, I wasn't really expecting anything of it. Like, I really wanted to travel and get the experience, but I didn't know what all to expect because I knew pretty much nothing about the culture. My main concerns at first were, of course, going to be the language barrier because I knew nothing about Japan or their language. And then I was really concerned about their food as well because I'm a very picky eater. Whenever I got there, I was completely blown away by the hospitality of everyone there and everyone that I got to meet. Once I met my family and we got to know each other after the first night, the whole barrier of language just completely disappeared. It was almost like a game of Pictionary and charades trying to communicate with each other, but that really broke the ice. Over the next few days, we went out and I got to meet my host sister Mizuki. Her and a bunch of her friends, we hung out pretty much every day, and I still talk to about 5 or 6 of the different students on a regular basis. one of my things that I was greatly amazed of was just how honest and open the people are. For example, we went to the museum and to look at different shrines one day as a group, and as we were filling out these fortunes on a little wooden stick that you put in this box and your wish is supposed to come true, I had left my purse there that had like my passport, all my money, everything in it. Well, about an hour later, I realized that I left it, and I walked back and it was there. There was a big group of people, but it had been completely untouched, and that really surprised me because I figured if I had left something like that here, it would be gone within minutes. Whenever I came back from the trip, I was very touched by the people and the culture and everything that I experienced, that I decided that I might want to change what I initially planned on majoring in college. And I've been thinking about going into international relations and becoming like an ambassador or something from the U.S. to Japan, but we'll see about that. And in January, I had a student come live with me. Her name was Natsuko. And the whole time she was here, I hung out with her and a big group of friends. Ashley and Julia helped me keep her entertained, but we all still talk to her on a regular basis. I know after this tsunami and earthquake hit, we got together and we've sent care packages to not only her, but a few other the kids that I keep in contact with on a regular basis. And our relationships have gotten stronger as time goes on. I know we talk pretty much on a regular basis, so I'm very glad I got to experience this trip.
Hi, my name is Paige Morphew. I'm a 10th grader at Hot Springs High School. So when I was in the 7th grade, my host sister Yui, she came to the middle school that I was in, which happened to be, she was from my middle school's sister city school. I was introduced to her through my friends who were in the IB program, and we all hung out. She gave me an interest in her culture, but at the same time this was happening, I had no interest for reading. This is completely off subject, but by the time that I saw her, she introduced me to Japanese graphic novels that we had in our student library, and through this it gave me a chance to enjoy my reading and it got me introduced in the culture. Then when this came about that we had a chance to go to Japan as student delegates, I was on top of it. You know, I was so excited. I couldn't wait to get a chance to go over there. It just so happened that I had Yui as my host family. She and her family were beyond exciting. The days that we spent, just all of us together, they showed me around town and had, we went to go karaoke, we shopped, we went to the night festival. I know it was a big honor for me to be there because I could just see in their faces when they knew that I was trying to speak Japanese, their eyes just lit up, and it made just all the worthwhile, even though I know I was completely wrong. Okay. When we went to the schools, Ms. Bremer was, of course, introduced to all of the principals that we went to, but with each school that we visited, we were welcomed by this huge crowd of the students. I almost felt like it was a second home. I couldn't tell, even though we couldn't speak to one another, it just felt like I was so ready to be there, and I was so excited. When we visited the little kids, there was just, you could tell that they were just so excited to be there, and how much that they were intrigued with what we had to say and what we were doing. From taking from this, it's made me want to bridge the gap between the Japanese and the American culture. I know that when we were at the schools, we had the principals tell Ms. Bremer and the student delegation how much that he was so excited that his students were going over to Japan, going over to America from Japan to bridge that gap between our cultures. I was so excited to take part in this that it's made me want to go back, and it's made me want to, be part of the people who are, so minded that they could care less about an ocean separating us and the language barrier. When we were out with the student delegations, we visited the famous poet's house where he was at, and even though it wasn't his actual house, it was at a school where his house was close to. And it was like a farming community, almost like they grew their own fruit and everything there. I just thought that was so amazing that they could almost have a little town in their school. I mean, they had beef products, they were selling fruit, they had little Japanese gardens that the graduating class had made. It was just so touching to see that they were so inclined to their community and so ready to help the people around them. I have to say that going home was probably the hardest thing. I know that there wasn't a stride here in everyone around me, because as soon as all the pictures were taken, I was just in tears. Whether I was showing it or not, I was just not excited to go. The one thing that really hit me more than anything was us participating in the festival. It was the first time that I think it was the first time that any outsider had participated in the festival. I know that one of my fellow delegations, Simon, participated in the Deer Dance Festival, but we carried shrines, and it was just amazing. Thank you.
I'm Cassie Sheets from Lake Hamilton High School. I'm a senior. I never really wanted to go abroad, I wanted to, but I never really thought I would go abroad anywhere. And it was by chance that one day when I was in Miss Bennett's class, I was researching how much plane tickets were to Japan, and she informed me about the Sister City Foundation. And I was so thankful for that, because I was hoping by some miracle, I guess, that I'd be able to go to my senior trip. And the tickets at the time were $2,500. The trip was amazing, and I'm going to read a little bit of an excerpt from the essay that I did for the Sister City Foundation after we came back. Everything about this trip amazed me. The people were hospitable, the land was clean, and the food was not only good, but healthy in many respects. Recalling these things made my heart grow heavy that I had to leave such a wonderful paradise. Not only in everyday living did I feel comfortable, but in the customs as well. One of the moments that I will never forget is visiting one of the classrooms during our tour of the agricultural school. Unfortunately, I have no recollection of what the class subject was, but I do recall the subject of which they were speaking. The students were reading a text that was explaining the value of food. All I remember is one line, which I don't think I'll ever forget. We must honor the sacrifice of an animal's life to become one's life source. These wise words correspond greatly with my own beliefs, and I was grateful in that moment to find a culture who felt the same. With this memory, I felt like I belonged in the Japanese community more than ever. Beliefs are always clashing in America, which has always been a weak spot for my involvement in our communities. But in Japan, religious beliefs are not a priority, which put my mind at ease. Since this is my senior year, I have been going through a lot of life changes, and I know that I'm going to be put in society soon. But when I went to Japan, seeing the different side of life, it changed me a lot. And another thing that really changed in me is my compassion for people. And My host family, I know that everybody's going to say the same thing, but the most wonderful people on earth. They took care of me so well. And when the tsunami hit on March 11th, I found out how much I really cared for them, and because I was so worried about them and panicked to try to get a hold of them. And when I found out that they were okay, I was so relieved. But this trip to Japan has really changed my life, and I know that a lot of us could benefit from it. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Taylor Worst. I am 16 years old. I'm in the 10th grade. I go to Lake Hamilton High School. This is my experience. Well, I've always wanted to go to Japan. I've always wanted to go since I was like 6 or 7, and it started with just the fascination of going overseas and experience travel and doing all that good stuff. And then I started doing some research on the place that they come from, and started seeing the pictures of it and just really wanting to go because it looks, it's a beautiful place, great place, very clean. Anyways, the restaurants were very nice and clean. You could choose either a booth or a floor, like you can sit on a pillow, legs crossed. It hurt my legs a lot. Not very flexible. But you could cook your own food. You would order it, and then they would bring it in, and you would cook it on a grill or anything like that. The food that I knew about was ramen, and I expected, I only eat the packaged ramen, it's real small and square, and you just crunch it up, throw it in the microwave. Well, this ramen is huge. It's got a huge bowl this big, and I was like, my host brother Sergo asked me if I liked ramen. I was like, yeah, I love it. And I ordered it, and it bring out this huge bowl, and it's got little shrimps in it, and it's got little octopus tails, and it's crazy. And I ate a little bit of it, and I couldn't finish it. It was amazing. And then one of the other experiences I ate cow tongue. It sounds gross, but it's alright. Really, there's really no taste to it. It's just there. But it's changed me, my experiences. It's really helped my career, my career choices. I want to be a businessman because I like to travel a lot. I don't like being away from home too much. I'm not a travel bug, but it's wanting me to really experience architecture and different cultures. Yeah, just the people were the nicest people in the world. My host family was very generous, very understanding. Couldn't communicate too well, language barrier. We got over that with this little communicator, and sometimes it didn't work, but they normally would show you what they were wanting to tell you, or if you wanted this kind of food, they'd bring it up to you and show you. And it's real nice. They were very, very generous people. The schools were nice. Their high school kind of is like a college. You have to apply to go, and I thought that was pretty intense. I wouldn't want to do that. But I love Japan. It's a great experience. The best time I've ever had in travel. It's the farthest I've ever traveled. First plane ride. It's cool. But thank you for letting me have this presentation. Thank you so much for letting me go. And I appreciate it all so much. And goodbye.
Good evening. I'm Marina Sweeten. I'm a junior at Jessueville High School. I've always been interested in the Japanese culture. It's always been just fascinating to me because I used to read manga, the graphic novels, and I watched anime. But it's always just been foreign. I've never really experienced it. Of course, I like ramen. I like Osaka, but it's not really Japanese. So I was really excited to go. I've traveled before. I've been to Germany and I've been to Denmark, but nothing as different as Japan because it is really different. My expectations was just that it would be totally far off from our American norm. I expected it to be kind of awkward with my host family because I'm not not very good at communicating, and I was worried that they would not understand me. But in actuality, they were just a lot like us, just Japanese. I saw like my cousins and the host sister. Her name was Huyu. She was sweet. She was nervous and she was shy and she just giggled and she was so cute. And the girl Raina, who was my age, she was so sweet, and she was just all helpful, and she spoke really good English, so that was great. And the father even spoke some English, and he was just hilarious. He reminded me a lot of my dad. My impression of the Japanese culture and the people was they were very hardworking. They were humble and they were polite. Something that really affected me was we went and saw at one of the schools a band at the school. They were their middle school band, and they were huge amounts better than my high school band. And it was kind of embarrassing that I was like, I remember Japanese students coming and looking at our band, and I'm like, what did they think of us? And so they were just, these were middle schoolers playing amazing pieces of music. And I showed my band director, he was like, well. So it is a really different culture, but I also saw a lot of similarities. The teenagers, they like to have fun. It's a very structured school system, but it's also, they express themselves in different ways. Like, they have little charms on their phones, or they have stuff in their hair, and it was just, no matter what, in any part of the world, teenagers are teenagers, and we like to have fun. My favorite part was probably the Hanaki Festival. I got to spend the evening with my host family, and they dressed me up in a yukata that belonged to my host sister. It was just an experience like I've never had. It was packed. There were so many people that I had never seen. Like, imagine the St. Patrick's Day parade times a million. It was so crowded. But it was really an experience that I'll never forget. It was so much fun. More about my family. They were really sweet. They were funny. I enjoyed talking to them. I enjoyed spending time with them. I remember one night we did fireworks, and that was a big deal. They were just little sparklers, but it was a lot of fun. The grandmother lived in the home, and she was a pharmacist, and she took care of the family, and we had breakfast and dinner together, and that's something that I'm not used to in my home. We have dinner together once a week. Other times it's cereal or mac and cheese, something easy. But it let me see something on the other side of the world that I had never seen before. It was a really great experience in that I had never gotten to get to see these people that are just like us, but then they're totally different. They're structured and they're disciplined, but then they like to have fun. But they're just amazing. And it was something that I couldn't have done it without the scholarship that I received, and I'm really thankful for that, because without that it wouldn't have been possible, and it was just an opportunity that I knew I wouldn't have gotten otherwise. But now that I've gone, I want to go back, and I plan on it one day. Thank you.
Genki. That means what's up. Hi, my name is Ashley Lewis. I'm a senior at Lake Hamilton. Yeah. This is my slideshow for the 2010 September student delegation. I applied for the trip thinking, oh, I'll just apply, hopefully I'll get it, because I like to experience new things. So I get a call from Miss Nielsen one day, and she says, hello, this is Miss Nielsen, and I would like you to come to the interview process. And I was like, oh, really? And she said, yes. And I was like, oh, awesome. And she told me the date and time. So as soon as I hung up the phone, I started screaming and stuff, because I hadn't got to go yet, but I was still excited. So obviously, I got to go, but we had lots of meetings and stuff, and I was anxious to get everything done so we could hop on that plane and go to Japan. And yeah, packing was the hardest. It took like 2 weeks. But first, I'm going to talk about the schools. We went to several different schools, as a matter of fact, and we went to junior high and high school and little bitty kids school, and as you can see, the cute little boy at the bottom, his little eyes, so cute. But the high school, I thought was extra fun because it was people my age. In one of the classrooms, we went to an English class to experience them in their English class. And we got paired to different tables. We had to draw out of a little hat, and they was like, oh, you sit over there. I got paired with all guys. Fun. But the top right is me with one of the guys, and then right underneath that is another one of the guys that was in my group. He also was one of the student delegates from Japan this past February. And he recognized me, and I was like, hi, and stuff. But it was very fun. We had the tea ceremony, and the tea was very interesting. I liked it. We did a lot of touring, and we went to scenic sites, which was my favorite, because it was like, okay, Hot Springs is beautiful in some spots. It's just like, well, that's so pretty. But it was like every time I turned my head, everything was just magnificent. And it was beautiful. All these pictures I took with my cell phone. And that just tells you that it's already beautiful. It was amazing. But the bottom left picture is just a picture from the cliff behind my host family's house. I was like, you get that on a vacation. I mean, come on, it was amazing. But, my host family, I was very, very worried because it may not seem like it, but I am very shy when I meet new people that I don't know, especially when they do not speak my language. So when they picked me up from the International Center, I was like, hi, and they said, oh, hello, come. And I was like, awesome. So we get in a vehicle and we head to the house and stuff, and I'm introduced to Dad and Mom. They would not let me call them by their real names, which is why I don't remember their real names, because they said, no name, Mom, Dad. And I was like, awesome. But there's me. This is a picture of us leaving, which was not happy. But Mickey is next to me, and then there's my little brother, Mizuki. Me and him hung out a lot because Mickey had track, but he's awesome. And Midori, he was the oldest brother, he's 15. He was at a game, so he could not come. But me and Mizuki, on the first day, he said, we watch movies. And I said, okay. So he introduced me to a show called Usavich, and it is an awesome show. I loved it. It didn't have any talking, which was awesome because I could understand it just like he did. But we went to the mall, and the picture up there is their photo booths. Here, photo booths, it's like, oh, and it's kind of awkward, but there it was awesome. They had like little buttons, and you could pick a background and doodle on it and write on it, and it was just cool. I was happy. I was like, oh, Japan rocks. As you can see, it was awesome. But this is my last slide. It's just a couple of pics. There's a picture of us at the tea ceremony, me attempting to bow back. Not very good. And There's a restaurant we went to where we had to sit on the floor and cross our legs. I did not. I laid my legs out. But it was all good because I didn't notice. And this picture of the high school, and we have our vending machines, which are awesome and stuff, but theirs are like animated. It's just like awesome. But I got a lot out of this trip. I, in fact, have just gotten accepted into the college that I want to, and I'm enrolled in the Japanese language and culture classes, and I plan on being an English teacher in Japan, which is going to be awesome because I can't get enough of those people. They're awesome. So I get to just be in front of them 24 hours a day. I'm like, hello. But it's going to be awesome. But that's it and stuff. So thank you.
Hello everyone. My name is Julia Ross. I am a sophomore at Lake Hamilton High School, and I am very happy for everyone who came here tonight. International travel is not the experience that every 14-year-old expects to get right when they want it. And when I boarded that plane at Little Rock Airport at around 6:30 in the morning after getting absolutely no sleep due to excitement, I was absolutely ready, I thought, because 2 years before that, I had started studying Japanese. I had become absolutely fascinated with the Japanese culture. I started listening to the music. I can tell you more about Japanese rock bands than you probably ever wanted to know. So I thought I was prepared, although I really had absolutely no idea what to expect. And stepping off the plane at Narita Airport in Tokyo is absolutely like stepping into a different world, right down to the vending machines. They are rather flashy. So we got to Hanamaki, jet-lagged, tired. It was a completely different time zone, completely different day, in fact. It had moved on to Sunday, and we were all slightly confused by that. But we were not tired enough to miss the hospitality that the Japanese gave us. Just even when we were being welcomed into the hotel, we were presented with happy coats, not these, but some different ones. And it was absolutely breathtaking right off, just looking at the scenery, looking out of the train. I was fascinated. Of course, our main purpose going to Japan was to visit schools. And we visited 3 junior high schools, 3 high schools, and an elementary school. And one of the best parts of our trip to Japan was definitely hanging out with the students. We played basketball with them, we played volleyball with them, we had so much fun. And we hung out in English class, and while there was that language barrier, and even though I had tried to break that language barrier as best I can with my studies, once you find yourself in a position where you need to speak Japanese, you naturally forget all the Japanese you have ever learned, ever. But it did come back, and I found myself having amazing conversations with the students I talked to. I was excited to see that they enjoyed parts of our American culture, like Johnny Depp and Lady Gaga, and we had great bonding experiences with that. But they were enthralled to see that I also knew some of their music and the anime and TV shows. And we all got along so well, and I really hated leaving the schools. In Japan, it's a lot more structured, more respectful, but they still have fun. And even though they wear uniforms, they express themselves with pencil boxes and hair ties, things like that. Now, I think the best part of my stay in Japan was, of course, my host family. And when I first met my host mom, I was ridiculously nervous. She spoke very little English, a few words maybe. And my host sister spoke some English, but she was very embarrassed about it and preferred to use the translator on her phone, which caused several moments of minor hilarity. My host dad and my host mom were both very caring and funny people. I loved being with them, and my host sister was great. I also had a little host brother who was in about 7th grade, I think, and he started out slightly confused of why there was an American teenager in their house, but he warmed up to me, and we ended up playing Wii tennis together. It was wonderful. On my first night there, staying with my host family, we went to a Japanese supermarket, and they found it so funny of the way I reacted, of just staring in awe at the bright colored packaging of things I had no idea what they were, and it was wonderful, all of it. And throughout that week, we got closer together. It started feeling really like a family. I started seeing Judy, my host sister, as a sister. We bonded excellently. We talked about movies and music and such. And I helped her study for an English test. We pored over Japanese fashion magazines together because she wanted to be a model and I want to be a designer. And it was just amazing. Honestly, I can't think of another word for it. Friday we were there. They held a festival, the Hanamaki Festival, which is deep down in the culture. It's been around for hundreds of years. And we got to help them carry shrines, carry lanterns. It was so magnificent and such a wonderful cultural experience that I really can't compare it to anything. Of course, we have our St. Patrick's Day parade here, but it is absolutely nothing like it. So, this trip has changed me so much. And even before I went, I wanted to end up in Japan somehow. I wanted to go. I wanted to stay there. But this trip really confirmed, just deeply ingrained how much I really loved it. And I really hope that I can, even if I become an English teacher, if I work in the Tokyo fashion industry, I hope I can do something where I will be in Japan, where I will be with those wonderful, hospitable people. And I really thank the Hot Springs Sister City for making this trip possible and for the scholarship, without that I would not have been able to go, and for making this dream come true. It was amazing. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Emily Hollinsworth, and I'm a sophomore at Fountain Lake High School. I was so privileged to be able to be a part of the 2010, I get confused with my years, 2010 Sister City student delegation. We traveled to our sister city on September 4th through the 12th at an estimate of 14 hours flying time one way. We traveled over 12,840 miles in flight. And once we landed off the airplane, we got on a bullet train, multiple bullet trains, which estimated about 4 hours. I first like to start out by saying that Japan is such a beautiful country. You turn to your left, you turn to your right, and you just see the rolling hills and the rice fields and just the beautiful architecture that they have there. While we were in Japan, our main goal was to be able to experience the culture and see the differences that we held and they held. We did this by viewing some of the schools. Each day we visited about an average of 2 schools. Sometimes they were elementary, sometimes they were high school, and so it was good to see the difference from what we've grown up with to what they have. Even though there was a language barrier, we were still able to communicate by the smiles on the kids' faces and the laughter that they had when we were either writing stuff down where they could translate it and read it. They could read English better than they could speak it. And so we'd have conversations, little sign language. While we visited the schools, we were able to participate in many of their activities, such as English class and lots of their sports. Japan students enjoy similar sports to us. They enjoy basketball, volleyball, soccer, and tennis, and other sports, and we were able to participate with them. They also introduced us to many traditional sports that we kind of have a different look on, but they originated from their country, such as kendo and jiu-jitsu. The bonds we formed in the few hours we were able to spend with the students at high schools and middle and elementary schools are unforgettable. It's amazing to see how their personalities and their characteristics made such an impact in my life. when we came to Japan, we had a welcoming ceremony, which was held at a traditional Japanese hotel. There we met the governor of Hanamaki, and so we dressed up because it was such an honor to get to meet this man and be a part of this celebration of the combining of American students and Japanese students. At the ceremony, they held traditional dances. One was the deer dance, which is a folk story that has been performed over many generations. I was also able to meet people. This man's name is Sasaki Fumiaki. He is a fellow citizen, Hanamaki citizen, and Rotarian. And we were introduced because he had heard that I received a scholarship from the Hot Springs Village Rotary Club, and he was just in awe of how the Rotary Club that he is a part of and that whole international club is what allowed me to have my life-changing experience in Japan. Not only were we able to experience traditional sports in Japan, but we were able to be a part of a traditional Japanese tea ceremony. In this tea ceremony, they have an older woman who makes the tea right in front of you, and they present it to you and make you hold a cup a certain way, and it's very formal, and it was an honor to be a part of because it's a deep part of their culture. I'm so blessed to be able to experience such rich cultural traditions. The friends I made in Japan I will never forget. Their faces and their characteristics and the personalities that they have influenced me and helped me become the person I am today. While we were in Japan, we were able to tour much of the countryside, and we were able to see a few shrines and temples in their historic region. This historic landmark is a statue of Kenji, who was a famous Japanese poet who influenced much of the children books and so forth. As we viewed shrines and temples, we were able to get a glimpse of Japanese religious history. The temples were very beautiful. They were very detailed and ornate, just as you would find in Catholic cathedrals and other historic buildings that we would find in America. One of the most memorable things in Japan was the Japanese boat ride. It was a big, I call it the gondola, but it's not a gondola. It's a long boat that is maneuvered by one person who has a giant bamboo stick and shoves it in the water to take it downstream. They're very strong. It was such a unique experience. Our tour guide was the only female boat maneuver because she was the only one who was strong enough to take this many people down the long river. Part of the experience was on the way back, she sang a traditional Japanese song in Japanese, which with the scenery and all the beautiful trees and cliffs, it just added to the ambiance. The whole experience was very peaceful and very uplifting. It was an adventure that I will never forget. But my favorite part of my Japanese experience was the Hanamaki Festival. Being a part of this long tradition was such an honor and a blessing. And at the festival, they had a strip where people would hold their shrines from their different club or organization and chant up and down the street, running back and forth with these huge, heavy, monstrous things chanting "Washoi," which means "let's go." We were fortunate enough to have a box cut out on the side of the street where we could have front row seats to the whole parade, and they would come by and hand us little necklaces from their club and their organization that represented who they were. At the festival, we were able to catch up with lasting friends. This boy's name is Koga, and he was fortunate enough to come to America. So all of the delegates recognized him, and they knew who he was, and we just became closer friends because we knew we shared this wonderful experience. The festival in Hanamaki is definitely unforgettable. We are all so blessed to have been a part of this wonderful experience, and I know that we all believe that we have created memories that will last a lifetime and that will carry on to our children and our children's children. This trip has honestly changed my life. It has changed my view on cultural diversity and how, although we speak a different language, believe a different thing, we can influence each other in ways that, that are otherwise not possible. I treasure the differences we share, and I respect them, and I value the experience. I value the experience that I was able to have through the Rotary Foundation presenting me a scholarship, and through the Sister City Foundation making this trip a possibility. Again, I'm so blessed and so privileged and so thankful to have been a part of the 2011-2010 Sister City Student Delegation.
They all did a beautiful job explaining their expectations, their impressions, how the many similarities, the many differences, how it enriched their lives and will enrich their schools and their communities and their future because of what they were able to experience there. And I thank you all for taking the time to prepare and to be here tonight. Well, thank you all for coming tonight and showing your support of these students and the educational exchange system with the Hot Springs National Park Sister City Foundation, the Sister City program, and our friends, of course, in our Sister City Hanamaki. Thank you.